Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really going to try and understand one of Hollywood's, well, most amazing transformations, the journey of Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
And this isn't just about fame, right? It feels more like a real-life superhero origin story,
Yeah.
bouncing back from rock bottom.
absolutely.
So we're going to pull out the key bits from his story, give you a kind of shortcut to figuring out how he went from being, well, Hollywood's most troubled star to literally its highest paid actor.
It's just such a remarkable arc, isn't it? And I
Mhm.
think what makes it so gripping for everyone isn't just the big comeback, but really the how and the why.
Mm-hmm.
We're aiming to look past the headlines here to see what his um, profound personal and professional reinvention tells us about sticking it out, about public image, and, well, the power of getting a second chance.
Definitely. And to really get the scale of that comeback, we kind of have to start right at the beginning.
Yeah, you do.
Robert Downey Jr. wasn't just like born into Hollywood. He was practically born on a film set.
Yeah.
His father, Robert Downey Sr., was this really groundbreaking indie filmmaker. So RDJ was just soaked in that world from day one.
Right, yeah.
Actually, his first acting role, he was just 5 years old in his dad's film, Pound. Talk about an unusual start.
It really was. And that early exposure, I mean, it undeniably shaped him.
Mhm.
But it also got on its own unique set of challenges, didn't it?
For sure.
What's kind of striking is that even with this incredible talent showing up so young, by the time he was a teenager, Downey Jr. was already, well, experimenting with drugs.
Wow. That early.
Yeah. It sort of highlights this thing you sometimes see in creative worlds where the lines get blurry between art and life
Mhm.
and sometimes dangerously thin.
Mm.
And we know, obviously, that habit really spiraled later on.
And yet, even with that chaos starting up, the talent was just, you couldn't deny it.
No.
You look at his early stuff, like his intensity in Less Than Zero, it was so clear he was something special. But it was playing Charlie Chaplin in Chaplin that got him the Oscar nomination. That really cemented him. Critics were saying, the next Brando.
Incredible praise.
But there was this really stark, almost heartbreaking irony happening, right? While he's embodying these complex characters, getting all this acclaim, his actual life was just falling apart because of addiction.
The duality, that's exactly what makes his early career so fascinating and honestly a bit tragic, too.
Yeah.
You've got this huge, maybe even generational talent living side by side with this deep personal struggle. It really shows how inner turmoil doesn't always, show on the outside. And that outward success can hide some really deep battles.
It also makes you wonder if maybe his own experiences were kind of fueling the depth he brought to those parts.
Well, sadly, that duality kind of tipped over into what you can only really call a nightmare period through the 90s.
Right, the downward spiral.
Yeah, we're talking a constant cycle of arrests, rehab stints that were all over the news, and even infamous escape from a treatment center. Oh, I remember that.
And Hollywood, maybe understandably, but also maybe a bit short-sightedly, just reacted by basically blacklisting him. They called him uninsurable. His career just went into total freefall.
And that really shows the harsh side of the entertainment business, doesn't it?
Oh.
Especially how it deals with what it sees as liabilities.
Yeah.
His case sort of became this big cautionary tale. And the moment that I think everyone saw as the absolute end was that 1999 sentencing.
Yeah.
3 years in prison.
Right.
Most people genuinely thought, okay, that's it, career over. But, as we sometimes see, hitting rock bottom can surprisingly become the foundation you need for an unbelievable comeback.
It makes you think, for someone at that absolute lowest point facing public shame, addiction, prison time, how do you even start to think about climbing out of that? Let alone convincing an entire industry to give you another shot.
It's incredibly tough.
Mhm.
Almost feels impossible. And it wasn't like snap your fingers, success story after prison.
Yep.
The road back was really, really hard. Full of skepticism. He had to rebuild so much trust. Had to show he was committed to sobriety way beyond just saying the words.
And that fight was definitely real. Even after he got clean, Hollywood was still pretty skeptical.
Very.
A lot of studios, remembering past problems, just saw him as too big a risk. But then came the moment, the huge turning point. A role that didn't just change his life, it basically reshaped the entire movie landscape. Iron Man.
It's hard to really overstate what a massive gamble that was for Marvel, casting him.
Right.
I mean, it was not the obvious choice, given his history. Jon Favreau, the director, he famously fought really hard to get Downey in the part.
Yeah, I heard that.
He saw something, maybe that lived experience, that vulnerability that others missed.
Yeah.
And the result? Just incredible. Downey didn't just play Tony Stark. He kind of poured himself into it. The wit, the charm, even a bit of his own journey
Totally.
made Stark relatable, even though he's a genius, billionaire, playboy philanthropist, you know. And that movie, wow, it didn't just launch the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It made RDJ a global superstar, like properly global, in a way nobody saw coming.
Exactly.
And the money side of that rise is just, it's staggering.
Oh, the numbers are wild.
Going from, what, maybe $500,000 for that first Iron Man movie to an estimated $75 million for Avengers.
Yeah.
Endgame.
Just astronomical.
But like you said earlier, it wasn't just about the cash, was it? More than the huge paychecks. He'd actually reclaimed his life, his reputation.
Yeah.
He turned this thing that looked like an absolute dead end, personally and professionally, into this incredible redemption story.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What does his story tell us about second chances, about resilience, especially when it all happens so publicly? It's just this powerful example that, you know, reinvention isn't just possible. It can actually lead you to places you never imagined, even when everyone's watching. And it also says something about us, the audience, being willing to forgive and root for someone who really seems to have turned things around.
And what's amazing is he's clearly not done.
Not at all.
After Endgame, yeah, he stepped away from Marvel, very deliberately it seems, but he definitely hasn't stepped away from acting or from creating things.
Right.
We just saw him recently with his Oscar win for Oppenheimer, which was, I mean, a truly transformative performance.
Fantastic performance.
Yeah.
And beyond the acting, he's really active with his production company, Team Downey. They're backing some cool, innovative projects. It shows he's way more than just Tony Stark.
Yeah.
If you kind of zoom out, it points to this broader legacy he's building about creative control, influence. They did that documentary, Senior, about his dad.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
Really personal, and it showed his commitment to, like, authentic stories, using his platform for unique stuff.
So what does all this mean for what's next for Robert Downey Jr.? You know, is it maybe a return to Marvel someday? Or maybe more of these dramatic Oscar-level roles that push him?
Could be anything, really.
Whatever he picks, one thing seems pretty clear. Robert Downey Jr.'s story, it's definitely not over yet. He's charting his own path now. So just to kind of wrap up this deep dive, Robert Downey Jr.'s whole journey from being Hollywood